Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boring Enterprise Nerds Nerdletter Talk, where we think and chat and talk and complain and yell at the screen and laugh about things, all in the service of, sort of loosely, I would say loosely, with the goal of sort of indicating what we're going to write about, with the asterisk of like, yeah, but maybe not. Also, might be something else. So. I am Paul Moderman. With me, as ever, is the incredible Yelena Perfilieva, and we're just gonna get going and show you guys what we're up to. Yelena, you typically go first. Maybe
Yeah.
we just keep cooking
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
way. Let's just do things the same way.
Don't, yeah, don't fix what ain't broken. So, all right.
Don't mess
So,
with perfection in this one.
exactly. Exactly. All right. So, I'm just gonna share my stuff. So, we usually plan for about three stories or so each.
Yeah.
So, in this issue, I do have one slight kind of bonus that I just wanted to show. And I don't know,
Mm,
Paul, if you might have seen the same article, might plan to talk about this too. But anyway,
okay.
so first, I have been doing kind of serious, like what the hell is X, like in SAP world. I did one about integration suite. I did one about SAP build. And now I think strangely the time is to do one about the Joule, our good old good old friend,
Good old Jewel.
because there, first of all, there seems to be some confusion already with SAP creating so many jewels that people are getting lost a little bit.
I think
But
they are.
also, yeah, but also because I happen to gather material for it, so it's kind of I have it anyway. So why not just share with the world? So yeah, just to give a little bit of preview, there are different jewels already, and there is also lots of like business AI, whatever SAP
Yeah.
wants to market underneath it. There is actually pretty decent blog post on SAP community website about getting started with Joule Studio, which is a tool to create Joule agents. So
Mm,
that is probably of most interest in this whole like Joule verse. And this specific blog post actually it's very detailed. You can see it's pretty long one. It's like goes on and on, lots of screenshots. It also starts with this nice architecture here that gives a good overview. So just want to give a shout out to the author. Sorry, Gigant. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly, but thank you for sharing that. It's always
yeah.
good to see, especially SAP people sharing very detailed technical blog posts. So if anyone is out there interested specifically in Joule Studio, building agent with it, this is good starting point.
You know what
Yeah.
what I like is when people do, and like usually I'm full of shit, but I'm gonna be not full of shit right now. But the title is Getting Started with Joule Studio and SAP Build Part One Provisioning Joule Studio. I actually like that word provisioning.
Yeah.
Of course, like that's because people need that advice
Yeah.
because nothing is easy. And this
Yeah.
is like I'm usually talking about SAP when I say this, and I suppose I am now too. But SAP is not alone in this idea of like, how the hell do I just get the thing?
Yeah.
Like, it can be next to impossible to get the thing. And when somebody tells you how to get the thing, even if it clearly shows where you can't get it, at least they showed you the path that you don't have to try to walk yourself.
Yeah.
So, like, essentially, finding the light switch is a valuable thing by itself.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the effort that goes into that.
Yeah. So very, very useful. And this is 35 likes. This is like equivalent of viral in this day and age of
That's
SAP
true.
community.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on slightly
It's
to Ju.
this person's
Yeah.
basically a Kardashian in
Yeah,
the
exactly.
community.
Exactly. All right. Famous now. All right. And even gonna get more famous after we publish in our
Yeah. Oh
newsletter.
yeah, look out. Here we come, 37 likes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. All right, guys. So if you're watching, don't let us down. Go and like and make it go even
Prove
more viral.
prove
All
how
right.
influential we are by doing
Yeah.
that.
All right. So there will be more AI stuff, but switching gears slightly, this is something that I just randomly stumbled upon when searching for something, And it's like one of those discoveries where it's like, oh crap, like I didn't know this existed. It's actually
Yeah.
pretty cool. So Architecture Center, and when I looked at it, I think I might have heard about it, but then just kind of didn't really look into this much. But now I have. So now I'm gonna write about this. So this is Architecture Center that lives under SAP Learning website umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
and it is for, yeah, for enterprise architects out there, but also for people who might be looking for some architecture guidance. Like if you don't have an architect, that's a good place to look at, because sometimes even for developers, it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
beneficial to know
Yes.
slightly
Yes.
more than
Yeah.
go above your pay grade,
Hmm.
especially if you
Hmm.
want your pay grade to increase eventually. And what I especially liked about it, if you look at, let's say, just open like any random example, like EDA sample use cases. EDA is event-driven architecture, and I saw that many examples here have been updated or posted around 2025. I do hope that this website doesn't kind of die as it happens with some of these efforts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But the good thing, if you scroll like to like who contributors are, let me see, get down there. You can see it's like not necessarily someone from SAP or especially from SAP marketing. It's just lots of just random community members. And I saw it like more in, let's see, like introduction, see like who is there. Sometimes it was even like multiple people. Yeah, like this one is good example. You
Wow.
see it's multiple resources. I don't know if some of them are SAP affiliated, but some names I've seen, they definitely not like just employees who are, blah, like vomiting some corpo content out there. So that
Wow.
is, I think, very good kind of approach that I would like to see more from SAP.
Yeah. And by the way, SAP paid these people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
find a way to give them cookies or something. Like,
yeah,
man, this
yeah,
is it's really valuable to like create like structured thing on somebody else's platform that explains that vendor's platform. Like,
yeah,
that's incredibly valuable to that vendor.
yeah,
Hopefully these people who do this are getting value out of it too,
yeah,
because
yeah.
serious kudos to them for doing this.
Yeah, yeah, I sure hope so. And one other benefit that my colleague from Mindset pointed out just when I shared the link, you can actually download these diagrams into the Drawio or
Oh
however
yeah.
draw.io file for to use for however you please. So that's just another advantage. So really cool, unusual kind of positive shout out.
Yeah.
But we give credit when credit is due.
Yeah.
So I think we are very reasonable with our kind
This
of
this
feedback
person
to
that we see on this
SAP.
page, shout
Yeah,
out to you. Well done.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I guess I just kind of want to say too that like, I think in times past, I think both of us have sort of made fun of how like everybody's an architect of like eight things,
yeah,
or everybody's chief something
yeah.
now these days,
Mm.
which I have even been a victim of myself. The like there is weirdly like the world is catching up to the idea that that's kind of how things are these days,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
it is kind of less and less the case that you can be like a leaf level expert who works in like IT kinds of things.
yeah,
That is more and more going out to, you know, somebody else's shop to do that stuff. And if
yeah,
you want to have an impact at your company with your IT and info and technology, like you have to climb that ladder up to architecture m even more often these days than in other
yeah,
days past.
yeah. Yeah, and it's honestly it's I think it's a really great sign to see rise of architects of all
Yeah.
different levels, and especially having better understanding of what those different architect responsibilities and areas of kind of purview are, because when architect profession kind of started in SAP world years ago, it was super confusing what architects even are, and mostly it was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like basis guy on steroids, but it's very clearly
Yeah.
not 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 right now. There are so many different levels, and the
Yeah.
special enterprise architects, which maybe not every company is going to have. Definitely larger ones need to have one. Smaller ones at least need some kind of person, at least partially doing this type of job, because otherwise it's going to get very tricky, I think, to
Yeah.
keep track of all everything
Yeah.
that's going
Yep.
on in all the spreading ecosystems.
Yeah.
All right, and nice that there is a website to support architects now.
Yes.
So very
Yeah.
cool. All right, and short story. It's kind of based on this post. I'm not quite sure exactly what the title is going to be. Usually, I have a title in my mind already, but it's basically this post is bringing attention to the cost and licensing structure of all this like AI stuff.
Yeah.
And what kind of caught my attention here is he's saying, "Oh, system integration integrators haven't adjusted." They have actually. So I hate when people drop shade on consultants and integrators like that. I mean,
Mhm.
no, they're very much aware. Still scoping Joule project, blah blah. It's not what's happening. However, saying like nobody's scoping, I think they're more like correct way to say is scoping may not be quite considering the long-term cost or the
Yeah.
cost of actual use, because historically SAP projects have been very focused on implementation cost. However, cost of use is not a new subject or new kind of consideration at all, because even years ago I was involved, for example, in one e-commerce project when
Mm.
we were essentially looking for plan for to stand up web shop for a company that doesn't really do, it's not like consumer based business,
Sure.
but they
Sure.
did need like small shop to sell parts or something like that. And we had several platforms and companies just going in and doing pitches for us. And that's where that factor definitely came in, because most of the platforms are like, okay, there is initial cost, but also when you use it, there is cost for actual usage. And the same applied to EDI projects as well, because EDI is usually it's like pay per use, and it's not some kind of secret. It's just how it's been operating, and it
Yeah.
makes sense. I mean, companies that has like 1 million invoices should pay more than companies that has I don't know, 100 invoices, probably not worth of EDI project, but it's volume use, it's and scale use. That's not really something new, but it's definitely something that people need to keep in mind with AI projects. So maybe kind of trying to say, hey, it was consideration before, so don't forget about this now. That might end up being my main point of my stories there.
This AI pricing is interesting to me too.
Mm,
To click on double click on that piece of the puzzle here because like if I was in the business of like deciding how much to invest in like Joule business Joule things or whatever like this AI
mm,
stuff, I don't know what I don't even know how I would plan for it. And I don't
yeah.
mean that in terms of like is the pricing clear? I think I can probably go get the pricing and figure out how it works right now. But the model of like, I'm going to decide now on something for the next 2 years or however many years doesn't make any sense for AI.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing like an integration pricing model based on like number of documents processed, you can like kind of roughly map that to like, okay, well, we're doing this much business now. We expect our business to grow by this much. We're probably going to have umpteen million POs to process or through integrations or whatever that number is, right?
Mm,
And that's going to be roughly connected to like some other like harder pieces of reality.
mm,
If you made up, if you had priced out um something like Claude Code a year ago, 2 years ago,
mm,
you would have completely missed the the value that you can get for just spending a bit more money on the thing.
mm,
Like and that will be true again a year from now. Like I think it would be basically impossible to predict how much you're going to spend. Like if you're an engineering shop, I'm shifting towards like a Claude Code
Mm-hmm.
example, but
Mm-hmm.
like and you're like, let's lock in a vendor for a year at a certain whatever. That doesn't make any sense in AI. It makes
Yeah.
no sense. So like I kind of feel for everybody involved in there when it's like the SIs haven't adjusted, they're still scoping Joule as blah blah blah. Nobody is scoping ongoing AI consumption. Yeah, who how are you going to do that? If an AI was 3 times more effective at doing something and the price was twice what it was before for
Mm,
whatever thing you're thinking about, you there's a decent chance you should think about doing that. But if you locked in at 6 months ago when that capability simply did not exist,
yeah.
like you just invented a different pain point for yourself, and now all the SAP sales drones are going to be beating down your door with like, oh, well, I heard you have more need and more whatever. Now let's talk
Yeah.
about ways to get you into the new six
Yeah.
month or 1 year plan that will go completely, apeshit like 3 months from now when a new thing comes out that like steamrolls that thing, right?
Yeah.
I could go on and on about this, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject, and I mean it's important subject to talk about. I think it's not very techy subject, maybe slightly outside of our usual subject, but I know important nevertheless. And just
Yeah,
one note I want to make on this before we start moving on. There was
yeah.
also a post on LinkedIn the other day where person was saying, "Oh, I built like this like code whatever for $19." And when you open the article, yeah, but you buddy just counted your AI token cost essentially and
Yeah,
saying that's like your cost of doing this. You didn't count your time at all, or
yeah,
time that would like if someone would do that human time, because it was about development. So it was like, oh, I had like a dialogue with my AI tool. Yeah, your time costs something. It's not
yeah,
free like to the world at all. So
yeah,
I think I hope that, I mean, CFOs and CEOs are probably not stupid, but people out there should be really careful of these claims and of viewing this like AI cost is my token cost. It's
yeah.
much more
That's
complex than that.
different.
All
Yeah,
right. So bonus material. So I'm sure this picture made rounds like
yeah,
everywhere. It's what's that? Handelsblatt. So that's a big like German language publication. I have like translated article here, but also I couldn't read it at full because there seems to be some paywall, yeah, after something. So I don't know, but I got the gist of like their summary here.
Also,
Yeah.
sorry, scroll back down to that paywall.
Hmm.
Translate didn't translate the paywall,
Yeah, didn't
right?
translate page, so like I have no
That's funny.
idea what you want from me. Like, but I mean, I understand German that much, that it's like 4 weeks for €1. But I'm like, I'm in the US. I have like zero desire like, subscribing to your newsletter.
I
But
guess it's 4 lederhosen per Wiener
yeah,
Schnitzel. I don't know.
I
What,
have no
what,
idea. Like five, like five beers. Like I don't know, but whatever. All right, but something so. I don't think that there is kind of story material for me because Handelsblatt already has a story for it anyway that people can read. But it kind of triggered some, I would say, musings for me as purely like person who's been in SAP space for a long time. And I'm just looking at SAP history as like a company. I have no idea like what's going on with SAP executive board. I only hear like what everyone else hears, what gets hit like and what you can read in the newsletters. But we all know that Hasso Plattner has been long time clearly a leader of SAP. And I think the difference that Hasso comes from technical background essentially. Um, there was so there was a guy, what's his name, who went to ServiceNow later. So he was also in charge of SAP quite a bit, but he's a typical like salesperson.
Yeah, yeah.
McDermott, yeah,
Bill
that's
McDermott,
his
yeah.
last name. Yeah, McD. McD. Um, and Christian Klein, I'm kind of thinking he's also more of like like MBA type rather than
Yeah.
techie type at heart, like Hasso
Yeah.
was. And I do feel that SAP as a company, in kind of general vibe of the company, is probably heavily impacted by that. Because if you look at like SAP executive board, it's like all of almost all of them, or even all of them, are just like that, like bureaucrat MBA types
Hmm. Hmm.
in charge of biggest like German tech company, one of the biggest tech companies in the world.
Yeah.
And I sure kind of I'm looking, it's like, well, I know Hasso may be still having some say, even though he stepped away, obviously, for kind of, I mean, he wants to retire probably too,
Yeah.
getting tired of this shit. Um, but I sure hope that someone has enough, is at least wisdom to consult with people who know about technology to help steer this company. And it's not like I don't have like huge investment in SAP. I do have some, which I mentioned many times
Yeah.
before, but it's not like not life changing amounts by any means. And I'm not speaking like as an investor, but I'm reading this stuff. SAP is essentially kind of doing like, oh shit, like AI stuff. We need to do AI stuff and just scrambling.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of thinking, I mean, is it a problem though? Really, I just kind of think that SAP has probably enough, I think, fat, like financial fat on the company
Yeah.
to be able to maybe weather a small storm or a moment of like uncertainty, like
Yeah.
I think we're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
And as a large company, I think they have both resources and also wisdom to maybe not rush to decisions. And I hope they don't, make their decisions based on whatever journalist or some peanut gallery people like us, put out there. But I kind of do hope for the sake of all SAP professionals, because I have selfish interest. I don't want to be left without a job. I don't want
Yeah.
SAP
Yeah.
to be acquired by
Yeah.
Microsoft, as people have been speculating
Yeah.
for some time. I don't want them to go under. I do have selfish interest in their prosperity, essentially, as purely person who works with their software. I do hope that they do not get kind of misled by the whole like, oh my god, our share prices is falling. I mean, everyone's share price is volatile. I don't
Yeah.
want really, and I'm sure large investors do not agree with me. They probably are more interested in share price, but I do hope that as a tech company, they have kind of cool mind about this, that they don't rush for decisions just because of being, first of all, tech company and large tech company. I do hope they know what they're doing essentially, and
Yeah.
that they have a plan that is not driven by some kind of share price bullshit, but is driven by pure technology and knowledge
Yeah.
and what they do best,
That
not
I
like whatever is new
yeah.
and shiny or like, oh my God, oh my God. So yeah.
Yeah. I do I look at it doesn't there doesn't seem to be a standout like nerd to
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
in the world. Because there was
Yeah.
who was that guy that who was the CTO for a while and then he became CEO of like Infosys or something like that. Um I forgot
Um
his name now.
Vishal, maybe?
Vishal Sikka. Vishal
Vishal
Sikka.
Sikka, yeah.
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 He's I think he's the last person who kind of struck me as like I kind of see how he's got nerd pedigree, right?
Well,
That to
Bjorn
me,
Gerke was there. He
oh,
was
that's yeah.
nerd.
That
That
okay.
that guy who was ousted. I mean, he wasn't like pure nerd, but he at least had some technical background. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, other than behavior issues, clearly. I mean, tech-wise, at least he was probably better than some person who has no clue. That's kind of that's kind of. I know it's a weak assessment, but I think he just didn't really leave any much impression, if I'm completely honest, compared
Yeah.
to his predecessors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and after that, they never. I don't know if they really filled in CIO officially, because it was like shared position between two people.
Hmm.
And after that it was like, oh, we're just really not really going to have one. It's just going to be like chief AI guy and like chief BTP guy,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I don't know how that makes sense, to be
yeah.
honest. So
Yeah.
that
That'll that'll
that's
shake out somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But over to you, Paul.
Over to me.
Oh, awesome.
From
I
from
know, I
our
know, I know. I That's like a
from,
Santa. I know you.
oh yay! From our dearly beloved Lars Vom. Um, uh, you pointed this out to me actually. I didn't know this document
Mm,
existed. When we did a video with Besh a couple days
yeah.
ago. So I went reading on this, and of course, everything's gold from Lars anyway, so just, accept that as truth and you'll be fine, right? I did want to point out a couple things. So this document here, and we'll link it in the show, and we'll link it in the newsletter when we write about it. Patterns for using LLMs in ABAP development. Okay, so Lars kind of breaks down many of the different approaches people use to like the process of development when they use LLMs slash agents slash whatever you want to call that flavor of AI
Mm,
to assist you in your development process. And he lays out a few of the different patterns. I think there are 6 patterns or 5 patterns,
mm,
and I think there are and for each pattern you get, of course, a stick figure pointing at drawings, which is good. That helps you learn. But you also get like the examples, right? Of like
yeah. Yeah, that's not
examples of things that
bad.
fit
Yeah.
that pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good because that kind of helps you map a pattern onto an existing thing. So that's really helpful. So first of all, just kudos to Lars for mapping this out for people. Um, I had a couple of reactions to this stuff. Um, this is the last one here, this decentral development with ephemeral ABAP systems. Um, that's a lot of $5 words in a row there, Lars.
Yeah.
Holy cow. No, but it like when you look and think about this approach, like from the standpoint of like, can I get reliable software out of this or a good process, or can I improve my process and my software out of this? The answer is like it will slap you in the face of yes, that
Mm,
you can. And then you go and see this handy dandy breakdown of the patterns, the cost, the risk, the versioning required in the object types, and you realize that the decentral pattern is, of course, the largest.
yeah.
There's the most dollar signs in that one,
Yeah.
and so like it kind of has this feeling of like it even without LLMs, even without AI, this pattern would be possible in some way. With the ephemeral systems and runtimes, you can look at things.
Mm.
Um, but also would still be the biggest dollar signs on this chart, right? By like a million miles. This probably needs like $8 compared to any of the rest of them, right?
Yeah.
And so what's different about it now is that like A, I think maybe even factoring in the cost of AI, uh, the decentralized thing is fewer dollar signs than it would have been last year or 2 years ago because it's easier to do the tasks of the stuff
Mm.
that developers would do. I think it's probably the case. Um, by that same token, uh, there is still like a cost benefit curve somewhere of like where this becomes not just like some idea that is in everybody's heads is like as the obviously best idea, but also like, no, we're actually going to do this.
Mm.
Because if I had to guess, essentially nobody is doing this pattern. Essentially nobody is,
Productively, I
yeah.
definitely say yes.
Like if you
Yeah.
if you are doing this pattern productively in your business or with the business you work for, like you should tell us because I want to know.
Yeah.
Because like it's amazing and oof. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to point out here too is so I guess, full disclosure, I work at a company. I'm one of the founding engineers at a company that makes AI tools for ABAP and other SAP tasks, um, and roles and things. Lars mentions job displacement in this document.
Mm.
I I I think I said this kind of before. Like, I don't know, I still don't know what this looks like in the real world or
Mm,
what it will look like.
mm,
And I will also say that even though I'm in the business of selling a platform that does this, nobody has ever said personally to me that they plan on replacing people
mm,
for these things. Nobody has ever said those words to me in that stuff. But also, in the job I do, the company I work for and with, um, I do work with a lot of like companies like the leadership of their SAP teams that does things. And I will say that this idea, this what to some people seems like a possibility is absolutely out there. People absolutely worry about this when you start to introduce tools that do this stuff, okay? And to a company, every single one has always had like very human forward and human centered responses to this kind of idea. Because
mm,
inevitably, like the some employees will raise concerns, which they ought to. Employees should raise concerns about anything.
mm,
Um, and leadership hears about it and takes action and takes effect and makes statements and such that every single time it has been in favor of we still want the humans. We want all the humans we can get doing this stuff. I
mm.
mean, to a degree, right? You can't hire a million people to do 10 people's job, but like they always say they like we have no plans to replace people. We have no plans to displace whatever. So I still think we should be on the lookout for this and keep looking for stories where this turns out to be not the case,
Yeah,
especially in SAP world, because as we all know, like there's people who kind of work in the industry, and then of course there are people who work for like big giant body shops, Accenture,
yeah,
Deloitte, et cetera, et
yeah,
cetera, et cetera, right?
yeah,
And I have never talked to anybody at those places about happy or sad versions of this. But if
yeah.
I had to guess, they have less loyalty to their people than the people
Oh
in
yeah,
the
for
industry
sure.
themselves,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, so uh, I don't know what to say about that except like kudos to Lars for bringing it up and putting it out there. And I think everybody still needs to be watching for this concept in the world because it's
yeah.
going to keep changing. I'm not going to predict that everybody's going to lose their jobs. I don't know that that's the case. But this conversation about this will
Mm,
absolutely, the chart will spike on this. If it hasn't already, it will very soon.
yeah. And I'm glad that you picked up this document actually to talk about and write about in the newsletter because this is one of those like equivalent of clean code maybe or like agile manifesto type of thing I think for ABAPers that everyone should really read kind of end to end and it's very short. Lars is very concise and man of few words,
Yeah.
which is great quality in this day and age especially. So every ABAPer there should open this and read it and yeah, just think about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you,
And
thank you,
if
Paul.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna say one more thing about this too,
Yeah,
is that when I say that I have never heard it, I mean I personally have never heard it.
yeah,
Like it's never been spoken into my ear. That
yeah,
does not mean it has not been spoken. It just has not been spoken into my ear.
yeah.
I'll say. Okay. Um, okay, so that's that. On a lighter note, a little bit lighter note, um, I keep like we're gonna stay in the AI land because hello, this is me, you
Yeah.
guys. Um, the there's there was a moment uh late last year into the beginning of this year where all of a sudden like everybody sort of woke up to like, oh wait, I guess maybe AI coding agents can actually do some stuff, right?
Mm,
Maybe they are valuable or good, right?
mm,
That is in stark contrast still to the other forms of AI agents, right?
mm.
So I went looking again, like I did a few months ago, at Joule, at Agent Force, and a
Yeah,
couple of other things. Like whatever moment there was for the Claude Code / Codex things, there has still not been that moment for the Claude procurement, Claude accounting, Claude
Yeah.
whatever. People are still like you can see like I think if I was it, I think if I was doing one of those jobs, I would
Mm.
probably see some of the signs for sure. If I was still kind of like being a dork about AI like I am in my life. But like there has not been this like OMG, gobsmacking, slap your forehead, like, what am I looking at? Holy shit, kind of moment with
Mm.
any of the other agent platforms except for software dev code writing
Yeah.
stuff. It has
Yeah.
not cracked through. Um, and maybe I'm just not on like procurement Twitter enough, I guess. I don't know. But like so far there's no holy shit moment for those things. And
Yeah.
I like it is such to me that I don't know exactly when to expect the holy shit moment, which I suppose makes sense. But like I don't work in one of those things. Like so being a software developer, I could see the holy shit moment coming, for a couple of years because I do things that are in that realm. I
Mm.
don't do procurement or accounting or marketing or whatever those jobs are. I cannot see how I don't have the vision for looking at capabilities and then matching them to like some of the things that I do in my job of like, oh, this is really, wow, this is way more powerful than anything before it.
Mm.
So all that is to say is, I guess maybe also for people listening or watching, if you have seen a business-oriented kind of agent
Yeah.
do amazing things, please reach out to us. I want to hear about it because so far, nada, zip,
Yeah.
zilch.
I see you have AI agents use cases tab open there, looks like on
Yeah,
SAP
this is the
website.
SAP one. Yeah.
I went to look I went to look for SAP Joule kind of agent roadmap for unrelated reasons. And I mean, SAP clearly pushing dual agents for the
Yeah.
reasons I talked about because it's
Yeah.
money, money, money. But the roadmap looks kind of a little bit like a little path that through the jungle were
Yeah.
not really cleared out yet
Yeah.
because they do have some agents like pre-built agents by SAP, which I think what really would be the best value because if you have to build your own agents, it's the same like ZSAP stuff we've been
Yeah.
dealing with all the time. I mean, of course, people will also build their own. It's inevitable, but when there is standard, you can use out of the box. That's huge value for
Yep.
businesses when
Yep.
SAP supports it. So it's like nice. And those agents, it's like it's very I mean, it's obvious use cases, so it's fine. But availability is like, oh, coming up like fourth quarter of 2026 for public cloud customers. I don't know. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like there should be much more, much sooner for customers that are not on public cloud because that I think is minority of customers. So I don't know. Sapphire's coming up, so I hope SAP has some
Yeah.
huge like ace up their sleeves. They're gonna pull out like bouquet like out of a hat or something. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Cause yeah, I just like you have the vendors like SAP,
Yeah,
Salesforce, whatever, or the Agent Force brands or Salesforce,
yeah,
like they're putting out their thing about that,
yeah,
but just nobody out there in the world is like you guys. Oh my God,
yeah. Like
uh, bro, what am I gonna
they're like
do? It
awesome. Yeah,
it it figured out the sourcing for my vendors, blah blah blah, or whatever, some kind of
yeah,
businessy kind of thing.
yeah,
I still, as a Kool-Aid drinker, believe it to be eminently possible to do so, but it sure as hell hasn't happened yet, is the
yeah,
thing I think.
yeah,
Um, okay. I also threw this in there. I don't even know if I'm gonna write this about this one, but did you see this?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So that
first of all, I've never heard of this shoe brand.
me neither. Me neither. Before this happened.
But they also made Salesforce ones, which is kind of funny. That's good. But also they're pivoting to AI, which is like that's sort of awesome and what the hell all in once.
Yeah,
I don't know what to think about it. I want to read more about their actual plan because like if you have some so look, I'll read this. Newbird AI's version. So by the way, it's not Allbirds now, it's Newbird AI. So they're like
Yeah.
juicing up their name a little bit. The long-term vision is to become a fully integrated GPU as a service and AI native cloud solutions provider. So that by itself, that makes complete sense in terms
Mm.
of like if I had a bunch of capital, I would just do that as a business. Everybody needs compute now.
Yeah.
Everybody needs more compute than ever.
Yeah.
Like it's essentially like if you buy like a powerful GPU, you probably bought a thing close to that weight in gold.
Mm.
I'm only being a little bit facetious there, right? So if you've got the chops to actually manage this and do this, that's the right move. But like to do it from the bones of a shoe business feels weird to me, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, this is
Yeah.
this is and it like the founder now runs a supplement company. So clearly like at least the original pedigree had no Stanford grads like
Yeah.
doing research at the
Yeah.
lab to figure out like optimal shoeing things, but like they're going in on GPU as a service as that.
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome and also crazy to me.
Yeah. I
So I
see
don't even
that.
know what to write about it. I'm not sure
Yeah.
I'll write anything about it, but I wanted to bring it up because it's just
Yeah.
weird.
I saw that supplement company, so it kind of suspiciously looked like people who are just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Because supplements, it's a huge business. I don't know about other countries in the US. It's huge because it's unregulated and people buy it. I mean, I buy supplements myself, although I try to do at least some research and in some
hmm
cases like
hmm
okay, I have a desperate need and this promises me some benefit at least, and it's
Yeah.
not that expensive. So at Costco, but if, Costco, it's a big chain of stores in the U.S. They have like shelves and shelves of supplements, and some of them, like I'm looking at, like, are people really buying this? But they must, because Costco is very judicious
Yeah.
about what they stock. They have very limited
Yeah.
assortment, so if they buy something, they have done their research. There is demand for it, and it's also one of those industries where I don't want to accuse these people of anything, but that's where shady people go to get rich quickly these days, very easily.
Yeah.
So it has all the smell of this. What's that person that inspired Netflix TV series?
Oh,
Who went to
the
jail? Elizabeth something.
Elizabeth
I
Holmes. Yeah.
Holmes, there you go. So, and Sam Altman and all of that. It has all the same smell to it, to be honest. And Reddit just went wild about this news, but mostly just mocking these people because especially there is a sub that is called Wall Street Bets, where people post about shit posts mostly about some kind of investment. Definitely don't take your investment advice from that sub, folks. So you have been warned. And it's funny, I'm not following the sub, but they frequently made it to the front page of Reddit, and they have this kind of lore where they refer to each other as retards because I think it has to do with like Wolf of Wall Street movie where really you need
Yeah.
to be super stupid to invest into something like this. And there was a post which I think was surprisingly reasonable, just saying this is just literally just trying to capitalize on hype and just take grab it's money grab from stupid investors. So I don't know. That's kind of, yeah, I think that's how it
So
seems
like
like.
I guess if this guy starts showing up only on Instagram on his yacht,
Yeah.
then maybe we realize what just happened here,
Yeah.
right? Is yeah.
Look for like Hulu series coming like a couple of years later about this guy.
It will go.
Yeah.
It'll say that. I just have the title. It'll be called No Birds, the Allbirds AI
Oh my
story,
God,
right?
awesome. Hulu, okay, we got copyrighted to this one. Reach out to us.
I'm
Happy
sure there's at least one
arrangements.
Hulu exec watching this video
Yeah,
right now,
yeah,
so hit us
yeah.
up,
So
guys.
so give us, big wing, give us a call. Have
Uh,
your people call our people. We'll have a movie script for you, all fleshed out by 2027. When we
so
will be done with all the SAP work, of course.
wow,
Oh
the
my
world is just
goodness.
it just redounds with opportunity everywhere. Um, So that is our Nerdletter Talk edition number 40 trillion 702 or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, 40,
Thanks for
42,
watching,
yeah.
guys. Click like, share, subscribe, send us a fax, all those things. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye.